Alright, what's up, YouTube? So tonight is the fight. Tonight's the big fight. I'm hyped about the fight. This is not a fight that I was a fan of before it was made, but I'm hyped about it. I mean, seeing all the feedback that I got from my videos, watching other YouTube uploaders, okay, looking at their comments because I do look at other channels and I do read what people say on their channels because I want to have an idea what people are saying out there. Even if I disagree with these channels or or the commenters, the viewers, whatever, I still like to hear what people are saying. I watch the interviews of all of the experts. Dante has done videos going around the gym asking people who they think is going to win the fight. I've been listening to the commentators, the trainers, the fighters, everybody, and just to get some feedback. And based on the feedback that I've seen and heard, it seems like there's more people leaning towards Rigondeaux to win this fight than Lomachenko. And I know Lomachenko's a favorite and everything, and I know I'm only basing it off of what I've seen and heard, but it seems like there's more people leaning towards Rigondeaux to win this fight. And Rigondeaux, listen, Rigo is very popular on the internet. You do a video on Rigondeaux, it's like those videos always get the highest views. Like those are those videos where you get swarmed on. There's a lot of hardcore Rigo fans. I am a Rigo fan too, all right? But there are hardcore fans out there that are really positive. They're sure that Rigo is going to win this fight. Okay? Now, with all that being said, when you make a pick and it seems like everybody's against your pick, like, I'm wrong on picks. Like, I know for this year, I was wrong with the Errol Spence thing. That was another fight that it was a lot of build up for that fight, and now there's even more build up for the Keith Thurman fight between him and Errol Spence. There's a lot of build up with Joshua and Deontay Wilder. That's another fight that's a huge, heavy build up leading up to that fight. But this fight here is another one of those fights, just like Andre Ward and Povetkin. That was another one that had a lot of build up for that rematch. Even the first fight. But this fight here is another fight. It's another big fight, and we're getting it tonight. And a lot of people think Rigo's gonna win this fight. Now, last couple of days, I have gone back and watched videos, of fights that I've seen more than once. Okay. And when I've gone back and watched, now we all know the obvious advantages Lomachenko has. We all know, like, if you haven't seen my videos, I picked Lomachenko to win this fight. I think Loma's gonna win this fight. Because of the obvious reasons. Not just because of those reasons, but the obvious reasons are his size, his youth, okay, his activity. Those are obvious, okay? But I also think he's gonna win based off stylistically. I think he has the stylistic advantage in this fight. Okay, I think his volume is probably favors him in this fight more than anything, more than his size. More than his youth, more than his athleticism, more all of that stuff. I think his volume is going to be a problem for Rigondeaux. Okay. Now, a lot of people that think Rigo's going to win, they are expecting Rigo to he's going to find a way to neutralize Lomachenko and his volume. Okay, a lot of people, and that's what I believe. I think if Rigo wins, he has to find a way to neutralize Lomachenko. He has to do something in there in order to make this guy slow down. Because since his loss to Salido, this guy has came in there and he's he's fully high tech. Once the fight starts, he's on you early. There's no time wasted. The volume is up, always in your face. Rigondeaux has to find a way to neutralize him. Okay, We know he has great defense. We know he has a lot of power. We know he has a great, sharp left hand. He's sharper. A lot of people say he's sharper. He's accurate. He does have the better defense. But he has to find a way to neutralize Lomachenko. He can't let Loma just walk all over him, okay? Now, these are some of the flaws that I've seen. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about this fight. A lot of people talk about the fighters' advantages, why they're going to win, you know, what Rigo has, what Loma has, okay? Loma, the volume, you know, the size, you know, the youth, the athleticism, you know, all of that stuff. We talk about that stuff, and then we talk about Rigo. He has the sharpness, all that stuff I just said. But these are the disadvantages that I've noticed. These are the flaws that I've noticed in the two fighters. When Lomachenko, as far as his flaws, you see him in the Salido fight. I was watching the Salido fight yesterday. I had some downtime at work, and I was watching some of the Salido fight, right? And Salido came with a brilliant game plan. You know, I know a lot of people like to just get on here and say he won because of the low blows and everything. But it has a lot more to do. And it was low blows in there. It was low blows in there, but it was a lot of just body shots. Salido came in weighing 140. I remember that. He weighed 147. He was a welterweight that night. He was a welterweight. He gave up his belt knowing, I'm going to come in this fight overweight, okay? Loma wasn't aggressive early. And this is part of the reason why I think Loma is more aggressive now in the start of every fight. You notice that since that fight, right when he got into the Gary Russell Jr. fight, he was aggressive. He was aggressive in the first round. And the Salido fight, even when Salido wasn't aggressive early, Loma wasn't either. You know, Loma is in a championship fight in his second professional fight. You know, I think he was a little bit scared, and I'm being personal. I personally believe that. Like, I think Loma was a little bit afraid. But let's talk about that fight. What I noticed with Salido was coming in with his head down, shooting a jab, you know, leading with a jab, and just going to the body the entire time. All right? All he was doing is going to the body. And Lomachenko did not have any defense for that. He didn't have an answer for that. Salido, if you look at it, Salido would just go to his body, Loma will hold him, or Loma will step out or reset himself, and Salido would do the same thing over and over again. He would have his head down, he would throw jabs, and then he'd start going to his body. Lomachenko had no answer to that. Okay, now late in the fight, you know, he tried to go for broke. He tried to just go for it, and he started becoming more aggressive, but he never really had an answer for that. Salido, much bigger guy, a much harder puncher than anybody Lomachenko has faced. Still, at this, you could still debate that Salido that night was bothering, you know, those body shots. Loma was doing everything in his power to try to not get hit to the body. You know, Salido took Loma's legs away from him. His advantage of having fast feet, it wasn't there. You know why? Because Loma was moving around. He was doing whatever he had to do. All right? But when it was time for them to engage again, every single time, Salido kept going to the body the entire fight. He didn't headhunt like every single other Lomachenko opponent. And it's surprising to me because you will watch all of these guys, and some of those guys I think can beat Salido, you know? But, you know, you see Lomachenko fight a guy like Rocky Martinez, right? And Loma destroyed him. Like, did Loma even get hit in that fight, in that 5-round, whatever amount of rounds of that fight was? Did Loma even get hit in that fight? I don't think so. But you see Martinez getting these tough fights with Salido, you know, and that brings us back to the whole point in boxing. Like, styles make fights. It really does, you know, because Salido, who I think won those Martinez fights, I personally think he won both of them. They were still competitive, close fights. You know, I just think Salido won them both. But in that fight, Lomachenko didn't have an answer. You know, even the way he finished, even though he finished strong, I still didn't see an answer to what Salido was doing. And if they were to really have a rematch, What is Loma going to do differently in the rematch in order to win against Salido if they were to fight in a rematch? Okay. Salido had a brilliant game plan. Okay. But those are the flaws that I see with Loma. That fight specifically. No one else tried it. Nicholas Walters. You went from Walters. You had Sosa. You had Mariaga. You had Russell Jr., Martinez. All of these fighters are good fighters. None of them tried to do what Salido did in that fight, which is amazing to me. But a lot of it has to do with Loma losing that fight. You go into your next fight not wanting to do the same exact thing you did when you lost. So Loma has been aggressive since the opening round, okay? Now, Rigondeaux, we know the fights, where he got knocked down, bring up the Cordoba fight, the Amagasa fight. We know Donaire dropped him, even though Rigondeaux was, he was pretty dominant in that fight. Clearly outboxing pretty much everybody. I think Rigo's worst performance was obviously the Ricardo Cordoba fight. A fight that Rigo was pretty much outboxing him the same way he outboxes everybody else. But it was the part where he tried to have a phone booth fight with Ricardo Cordoba, which was a bad idea. Okay? If you go back and watch that fight, we know why it happened. His trainer was telling Rigo to, like, listen, you gotta get this fight, you gotta stop this guy. You gotta brawl with this guy. You got a lot of people watching you. And Rigo went and tried to fight a way that he's not normally used to fighting. And he was fighting a much bigger guy, which is usually the case in every one of his fights. And he got dropped. And then he ran for the entire rest of the second half of the fight. A lot of people think that Cordoba won that fight. I wasn't on YouTube yet, but, I used to be in the boxing threads and, I used to have boxing talk. And back then in the chat rooms and stuff, people thought that Rigo lost that fight. People thought that Cordoba won the last 6 rounds or so, plus he earned a knockdown. But you have the Amagasa fight where Rigo got dropped twice. And I can give the Cordoba fight, I could give him a pass for that, because he was given wrong information by his trainer, Ronnie Shields. And he went and did something, and I'll give him a pass for that. It's cool. All right. We know Rigo's way better than Cordoba. Not going to go there. But the Amagasa fight, and, even the Donaire fight, there's one thing that I noticed with Rigo, especially in the Amagasa fight. Amagasa was a tall, tough Japanese fighter that was very, very volume heavy. Okay? I know what Rigo did to his face. I know Rigo clearly beat him. Okay? But Rigo didn't like that kind of fight. I just didn't see the body language in him. He didn't like the fact that this guy, he didn't like that this guy was on him throughout the whole fight. Okay? This guy made him work. Not only was he taller than him, but the volume was up. Okay? And Rigo didn't like it. A guy like Rigo, who is not a high volume fighter, doesn't want to fight that hard for 12 rounds, or how many rounds that fight was. I can't remember. He doesn't want to fight that long, that much. He just doesn't, His style is not based on that. We seen it when Lara fought, what's his name? What's the Mexican fighter name that dropped him? I can't. Angulo. Guys like Lara, and Lara does have some similarities to Rigo, right? Guys like that don't want to fight that hard. They don't want a guy on them that hard. That pressure is too much. Especially sharp fighters. Guys that usually are the ring general that want to control how the fight and the momentum is going. They're used to having their way. They decide, they dictate, how many punches are going to get thrown in this fight. Guys like Rigo is always in control. And when a guy comes in a fight and they're just pushing you, and You used to knocking guys out. You used to stopping these guys. But a guy is so tough where he's pushing you, keep coming up. The volume. You know, he was hitting Rigo. Yeah, Rigo had good defense, but he was still tagging Rigo. You know, he was still in Rigo's face, and Rigo had to really use his legs throughout the whole fight. You know, and Amagasa dropped him twice. In the first one, I believe in the first time he dropped Rigo, Rigo got caught slipping. You know, I can't, I'm trying to think. I had just watched the fight again, and I was trying to see what caused Rigo to fall in this fight. You know, I think Rigo was doing his low, you know, he was bending low, and he was turning around Amagasa like he normally does. Like, he'll get low and he'll escape. He'll either get low and avoid the shots, or he'll get low and turn his opponent and escape, or just turn around him and still face him. When Rigo does that sometimes, if you notice, if you look at his fights, when he does that sometimes, he leaves himself open when, excuse me. He leaves himself open when he stands back up. Okay, he leaves himself open. His guard is down and he's ready to get hit with a shot. I noticed the same exact thing when he fought Donaire. Donaire was different though. When Donaire they were actually tying up, okay? And Rigo had turned around him, and in the midst of breaking up, Rigo got caught slipping. His guard wasn't up, and Nonino Donaire hit him with a shot he just didn't see coming, and that's what happened in the Amagasa fight. Rigo, sometimes when he's in his defensive mode, sometimes he drops his guard, and when he's getting out of that tie-up, or when he's moving from, you know, from getting low and you know, trying to escape, he's so good at it that sometimes when he does it, he doesn't understand that he's still in range where his opponent can hit him, and his guard is not up, you know? And you're already moving, you're out, and then you turn, and then you're like, boom, you get knocked in the face. And that's what happened with Amagasa. And then Amagasa went on. I think he was a little rock. Rigo tries to jump up quick because he doesn't, like, he's a guy that kind of like, he's like real prideful. Like, he doesn't like getting knocked down, because every time he gets knocked out, he tries to jump up real quick because he don't want people to see that he got knocked down or that he's hurt. So I believe that Rigo, when he's on the move, he got to understand. And this is why I think Loma is going to win this fight. If you look at the Amagasa fight, Loma's volume, you know, his volume, and I believe his volume, I don't think Rigo is going to be able to slow down. This is why I think Rigo is going to lose this fight. Not all because it's just size and everything, but on from a stylistic standpoint, I think that Loma's volume, he's going to be on Rigo. And it's not the same like Amagasa being on you. You got a guy with quick feet that's going to be on your face all day long. Okay? This is not the same kind of punches neither. This is a much more accurate fighter. A great counter puncher in his, you know, in his own right. You know, that's going to be on your ass the entire time. Rigo would have to do a lot to try to slow this guy down. An older 37-year-old Rigo that hasn't fought a fighter like this before. And I understand Loma hasn't fought a guy like Rigo before. But the guy that beat Loma doesn't fight anything like Rigondeaux. He doesn't. Salido does not fight anything like Rigondeaux. Okay? Rigondeaux can't do what Salido did in that fight. You know, Salido came in there 147 pounds. Fought Loma on his second professional fight 4 years ago. Okay? Low blows, body shots. Rigo is a great body puncher. And you know what? You never know. That's one thing. His body is exposed a lot. His style, when he's on the offense, his body is exposed. And I'm surprised none of these other fighters really try to exploit that outside of Salido. But at the same time, if you're going to go for the body, you gotta, your whole upper end is gonna be exposed if you even try to take that route. Now from the outside, Rigo's a sharp puncher. He's gonna go to the body, but his volume is not. He doesn't go all day with it. It's not all day. You get a good shot. If you can hit him, it could hurt him. But how are you gonna keep that up? You can't do what Salido did. You know what I'm saying? A guy like Amagasa, high volume. Rigo's going to be like that. I mean, Loma's going to be like that, but much better at it. All right? Probably harder puncher. Better, higher volume. More accuracy. Better counter punching. He's going to be on Rigo all night. And even if Rigo's having some success early, he has to keep it going for a whole 12 rounds. That's too much against a guy that has the obvious advantages that I keep bringing up. This is why I feel like I could be wrong. Yes, Rigo may neutralize this guy. But with all the other advantages, it just makes more sense to me to pick Lomachenko in this fight. I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. It's a fight that it's a dream matchup because we never seen, well, I want to say never, but we rarely see two fighters that have, that fight this way, and they're so close in weight, yet they're still so far, and I know we see the weigh-in. I know people are saying he's not that big. Yeah, there's guys that Rigo fought that were taller than Lomachenko, that were bigger than Lomachenko. But you got to remember, Lomachenko didn't make 122 like those other fighters that Rigo was fighting. Rigo was fighting taller guys that they still had to make 122. You're fighting a guy that was in the amateurs not too long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, that was fighting at lightweight. It just really doesn't add up. This is a guy that's making weight at 130. Regardless of how bigger those other guys were, Lomachenko was used to fighting bigger guys himself. So, will Rigo's punching power carry over? We know we've seen him break jaws. We've seen him mangle guys' faces. We've seen him do a lot. Knock guys out, knock guys down with body shots. We've seen him do all of that. He's not fighting the same type of dude. So, I got Lomachenko winning this one, all right? And I'm pretty confident with that, all right? I'll be making a post-fight video right after. And, hopefully I can make one right after. If not, I will be making one tomorrow or whenever I get around to making a video. But I'll be here. Even if I'm wrong, I'll be here. I'm always here. But I got Lomachenko winning this fight, and I think Lomachenko is probably going to stop him. I just can't see Rigo surviving the whole 12 rounds like this. All right? Way too many adjustments Lomachenko can make. Rigo, as great as he is, as accurate, as good as he is, Loma's just got too many weapons, in my opinion. All right? Peace.